Who is Bruce? Well, as this is my introduction to Toastmasters and to all of you, I suppose you expect me to tell you. But the trouble is, you're asking yourselves a question now that I've been asking myself for 25 years. Who is Bruce? Well, allow me to wrestle with this question before you tonight and look to three sources of information: some facts, witnesses, and motives. Let's begin our investigation and turn to the facts. I was born in 1982 in Canada, Bruce Richard Norton Wetmore. My mother, an opinionated and artistic soul, was very glad for the company. She and my father had left their home in Zimbabwe 3 years earlier at the end of the war. They were third and fourth generation European Africans, and they had left everything behind. In 1985, my sister was born. In 1986, our family was accepted into Australia, where the warm weather and the warm people made my parents feel more at home. I grew up in Australia, but I finished high school in Austria, in Europe. This was the most intensive experience I'd had in trying to define to myself who I am as a person, and I returned home at 18 with a lot of questions. I had my father's frown and my mother's smile, but when I spoke to my family, I felt like a banana underneath an apple tree. How can I be from here and be so different to these people? I spoke to my parents, but I wasn't as conservative as them. I was a different kind of crazy to my grandparents, and with my sister I shared only my looks. I went to university and I studied an economics degree, which I really enjoyed because it allowed me to disagree and argue with my teachers and my classmates. I also studied an arts degree and majored in German philosophy, which is not the most practical thing to study. During university I worked about 30 hours a week usually in kitchens, and during the holidays I worked full-time, either as a cook or as a gardener. Otherwise I travelled around Australia. I love working with my hands. I find it really satisfying. But I always wanted to move to China after I graduate, to try to work with my brain. I love spending time in nature, I like to read, I like the colour blue. But these are the facts. And it's not really who I am, but it's more where I'm from. So let's continue our investigation and look to witnesses. I like to keep diverse company. At home I've had friends who are lawyers and friends who are ex-criminals, friends who are accountants and friends who are musicians. I feel that all these different people can teach me a lot about the world, about myself, and about who I do and who I do not want to be. If I act consistently, then hopefully all these different people would describe me as much the same person. But would they? Because of our club's taboos, I won't tell you a lot of the names that I've been called in the past, but to name a few of them,